Episode 4 of Season 1 of Alien Earth really started delivering on some of the horror hinted at from teasers and trailers, and set up more of the terror we can expect as the season progresses. But before I jump into what stuck out for me, I ask that you consider leaving a comment about the episode, and think about leaving a like and subscribing to my channel if you make it all the way to the end of my video. Everything helps. First up, we finally got to see how the eyeball critter does its business. Went for the goat, popped out an eye, planted itself in. I don't know what was more chilling, the fact that it immediately went bipedal, or the coldly intelligent way it looked at its captors. The episode showed the researchers trying to measure its cognitive abilities without showing us the results. How smart is this thing? What will happen if it gets inside a human host? I can't wait. We also saw that Wendy can hear whatever signals the xenomorphs send out. She knew the embryo was in pain. She wanted Boy Cavalier to stop experimenting on the aliens. She was able to replicate the sounds she heard at a level comprehensible to human hearing. Does that mean she will be able to talk to the xenomorphs? The possibility of Wendy becoming a sort of queen grows larger. Boy Cavalier countered Wendy's request to spare the 5 alien species from experimentation and dissection brilliantly. When she asks, "How would you feel if they cut you open?" he responds, "Or stuck to my face, or drank my blood, or popped out my eyeball and burrowed into my brain. I mean, they would if they could, so why not just cut them open?" What is the message here? They have their nature, we have our nature, I have my nature. We must be true to our natures. This raises the theme of autonomy, which I will get into later. At the end of the episode, Wendy is present for the birth of the xenomorph as it bursts forth from her brother's disembodied lung. By the way, the lung looks pretty healthy to me, so I suspect that its removal and replacement with a Prodigy-designed artificial lung was all in order to make Wendy's brother, Hermit, beholden to Prodigy, and stick around as leverage to control Wendy, as bait to taunt the other familyless hybrids, and as a monitor to help judge whether or not Marcy's mind was actually transferred to the hybrid body. Anyway, this lung burster doesn't attack her, and she seems to bond with it. Again, will she assume the role of queen? Back to Boy Cavalier for a bit. Last episode, he leaned in way too close to an egg and seemed about to get his face hugged before Kirsch made him leave the lab. This suggested that he wasn't as smart as we were led to believe. This episode, however, he completes Kirsch's sentence and tells him to assume that he is always one step ahead. And he lists off what all of the species are able to do. Does he play dumb? How much does he know about what's going on? He delights in belittling Kirsch, but does the synthetic have emotions? Can he get offended? Is it possible that Kirsch will betray Cavalier later on, or is that just beyond his capabilities? In other hybrid news, we see that Morrow has indeed been taking advantage of Slightly, learning the hybrid's true name and locating his mother. He's using threats against Slightly's family to force the hybrid to bring him an egg, or an embryo in a host. Hermit is the most likely candidate. Kirsch has been listening in, though. Will he let it happen? Will he tell Cavalier? Will he stop it to protect the childlike hybrid? Wait and see. Curly is still tagging along with Boy Cavalier, but he insults her and suggests that she is inferior to Wendy because she can't hear the xenomorphs. He mocks her recently acquired French skills. Curly wants his approval and might resent Wendy's status as special, his favorite. For that matter, Slightly also resents that Wendy gets to have her brother present while his family is in danger. Is Cavalier aware of all of this? Is part of his plan to drive wedges between the hybrids and stress test them emotionally? It was mentioned this episode that these units are undergoing beta testing. When was the alpha testing? Were other hybrids used for that? Where are the children's original bodies? Surely their consciousnesses were copied over into these new synthetic forms, and the original bodies might be in cryosleep somewhere with their minds intact? Or am I wrong in assuming that? Toodles gets some development this episode. He wants to be a scientist, and like Curly, has been downloading knowledge and educating himself accordingly. He asks Kirsch if he can choose his own name, and Kirsch thinks it's a great idea. Toodles now considers himself Isaac. He looks up to Kirsch, not Cavalier, and seeks the synthetic's approval. Does any of this rub off on Kirsch? Is he seeing potential he didn't believe possible? Will Toodles' freedom inspire Kirsch to become something more? Is that even possible? Smee gets nothing in this episode, but I'm sure he will get his own development soon. The series is taking its time, letting the plot breathe. That leaves Nibs. Last episode we were shown that she was traumatized by her close call with the eyeball critter. This episode, Nibs is veering full speed towards insanity. She believes that she is pregnant, that God put a baby inside her, and while she says she knows how babies are made because she grew up on a farm, she's also a child. She demonstrates dangerous physicality during her session with Dame Sylvia, one of the lead researchers running the hybrid program alongside her husband Arthur. Dame presses a panic button, calling for security to escort Nibs back to her room, describing the situation as a level 3 event. Nibs is not present when the other hybrids are eating ice cream later. What is happening to her? Is she being dissected? One more thing that gets clarified. Wendy was the first, and in a way she is the oldest. She was born in 2108, and it is now 2120, making her 11 or 12 years old. But Slightly points out that Toodles is the oldest at 12, and Curly is the same age. I suppose Wendy would have to be 11 then, so Toodles and Curly should be more emotionally mature than Wendy is. This is evident in the behavior, motivations, and goals we have seen thus far. So, there we have episode 4. Grotesque and horrifying eyeball action. Jealousy of sorts through Slightly, Curly, and possibly Kirsch. Psychological abuse from Cavalier towards Kirsch and Curly. Moral doubt from Arthur when he says, best case, we got a bunch of AIs running around thinking that they're human. Worst case, we killed 6 kids. Nibs is going crazy. A baby xenomorph is born and seems to have imprinted on Wendy. Blackmail on 2 fronts. Morrow over Slightly, and Prodigy over Hermit. The pieces keep moving, and the board is in motion. How will this game play out? I mentioned that the theme was autonomy. Curly and Toodles want to choose their own paths. The eyeball alien wants out of its cage. Prodigy can see through the hybrid's eyes, force them to sleep, shut off and manipulate their hearing as if they were puppets. Hermit is a veritable prisoner as the cost and upkeep of his new lung, plus his love for his sister, are being held over him as he is forced to play a role Prodigy has decided. Is Kirsch chafing against invisible shackles? Slightly has to follow Morrow's bidding. So many examples of choice being taken away. Who will fight to regain control of their destinies? How far will they be willing to go? Anyway, it is clear now that this series will be a slow burn, but I am in for the long haul. I got to see the eyeball creature in action, and I want more. Oh, yeah, before I forget, Curly asked about the 5, meaning the 5 corporations that rule the world. But there is another 5, the 5 alien species that were brought back aboard the Maginot. Is there a way to pair up the corporations and the species? Will we see more than Prodigy and Wayland Yutani? Is there a metaphor here? Plus, if Nibs is taken offline, we have 5 hybrids as well. If Wendy is the queen, what are the other 4? Or maybe I'm reaching here. How did you feel about episode 4? Are you satisfied with the pacing? Did you like the eyeball dude as much as I did? Are you fearful for Nibs? Any and all comments are welcome. Also, if you like this video and want to see more videos about entertainment topics of all kinds, leave a like to let me know and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.